Captain Elias Trent stood on the bridge of the horizon, eyes narrowed as his gaze locked on the screen before him. An alert blinked, red and insistent, casting a foreboding glow across the control room. His voice, low and steady, cut through the rising tension. "Report, Lieutenant." Lieutenant Marin Blackwood's fingers flew over her console, her brow knit in concentration. "Captain, it's an unidentified vessel. Scanners can't pinpoint an origin, no registry in our databases." Trent's eyes flicked to the display. The vessel's sharp, angular outline suggested no known design, nothing from the Galactic Council's roster of species. It drifted closer, as if sizing up the horizon, an unsettling silence between the two ships as they danced in the void. Trent's chest tightened, a calm, practiced dread he had learned to trust. Nothing good lurked in the unknown reaches of space. "Any sign of weaponry?" Trent asked, keeping his tone neutral, though his mind raced with possibilities. If this was a council trick, they were in deeper trouble than he had prepared his crew for. "No visible armaments, Captain," Marin replied, her voice a mix of wariness and doubt. "But it's moving like it knows us, matching our scans, adjusting its course every time we do." A tense silence fell, punctuated only by the hum of the ship's engines. It was as though the alien vessel were studying them, biding its time. Trent knew well the layers of threat space could hold. He'd learned young to expect the worst, to see friend and foe alike as unknowns until proven otherwise. "Lieutenant, prepare the boarding crew," he commanded, a spark of resolve hardening in his gaze. "If they want a closer look, let's give them a welcome." Marin hesitated, her fingers pausing on the control panel. "Captain, are you sure? We don't know what's on that ship." Trent met her eyes, his expression unyielding. "We're not sitting ducks. We don't wait for the enemy to come to us. We're humans. We meet our challenges head on." A slight smile tugged at the corner of Marin's mouth, though her eyes stayed somber. That was Trent, unwavering, always 2 steps ahead, and never afraid to look into the dark and see what stared back. Within minutes, the boarding team assembled in the docking bay, armor gleaming under harsh lights, weapons held steady. Trent joined them, and they moved as a single unit toward the airlock, each step echoing with purpose. The unfamiliar vessel loomed beyond the thick glass shield, silent and imposing. A mechanical hiss sounded as the airlock doors slid open, followed by the sharp tang of sterilized metal as they stepped into the alien ship. Dim lights flickered down the narrow corridors, casting eerie shadows that stretched and shrank with every step. A low, constant hum vibrated through the walls, a signal, perhaps, or some strange form of alien life support. Trent's pulse quickened, his senses sharpening to every sound and flicker of movement. Marin's voice crackled through his calm. "Captain, readings are stable. No hostile life forms detected, yet." "Understood," Trent replied, his voice a whisper in the empty corridor. They moved in silence, weapons raised, ready for whatever lay ahead. Then, out of the gloom, a figure emerged, half hidden in shadows. Tall, cloaked in intricate armor that shimmered like oil on water, the figure was unmistakably alien. It stood motionless, unarmed, yet every inch of it radiated authority. Trent raised his weapon, his stance solid. "Identify yourself." The figure's voice resonated in the air, smooth and foreign, like a distant melody with a dissonant undertone. "I am Varek of the Zarak," it said, each word carrying an unsettling calm. "I come not as an enemy, but as a messenger." Trent's grip tightened on his weapon, but he held his ground, studying the alien's face, or what little of it he could see beneath the gleaming helmet. "What kind of message warrants violating council space?" Varek's gaze met his, unflinching. "Your council has grown complacent. They fear what they cannot control, and humanity, Captain Trent, is the greatest unknown they face." A chill slid down Trent's spine, but he kept his expression neutral. "Go on. They see you as a threat, a force that must be contained," Varek continued, his voice edged with something like sorrow. "I am here to warn you. Their plan is already in motion." Trent felt the weight of Varek's words settle over him, each syllable a stone dropped into a fathomless well. He had known the Council held reservations about humanity's rise, but to think they would move against them, to brand them a danger worthy of suppression, was a revelation darker than he had feared. "You're saying there's an attack planned?" Trent's tone was sharp, controlled, though tension coiled within him like a spring. Varek inclined his head, a solemn nod. "They will strike in a way that leaves no survivors. Earth will be made an example." For a moment, no one moved. Trent's team stood frozen, weapons poised, each processing the gravity of the warning. Varek's words, heavy and final, echoed in the dim corridor. Trent turned, his voice a cold steel blade slicing through the silence. "Marin, prep the ship. We're going to war." And with that, the weight of fate settled onto his shoulders, a burden he would carry until Earth was safe, or lost. The silence on the horizon's bridge was shattered by the urgent beeping of the calm Lieutenant Marin. Blackwood's voice came through, tense but steady. "Captain, Varek is prepared to share his intel. He's requesting a private meeting." Captain Elias Trent glanced at his crew, each face bearing the shadow of what Varek had revealed. The alien's message had sent a ripple of unease through the horizon, and the crew seemed caught between disbelief and grim anticipation. Trent's gaze hardened as he turned toward the war room, his steps quick and purposeful. Marin followed, her eyes sharp and calculating, masking the uncertainty that lurked beneath. "You trust him, Captain?" she asked, her voice low enough to stay between them. "Trust isn't the word," Trent replied, his jaw clenched. "But if he's telling the truth, we need every advantage we can get." He pushed open the door to the war room, gesturing for Marin to join him. Inside, Varek stood at the far end of the long metal table, his tall form draped in the dark, iridescent armor of his people. He looked every bit the seasoned warrior, his presence commanding, yet his posture hinted at something more, exhaustion, perhaps, or even regret. Trent appraised him with an unyielding stare as he took a seat opposite the alien. Varek inclined his head, the glint of something unreadable in his gaze. "Thank you for this audience, Captain Trent," he began, his voice measured, carrying the weight of ancient wisdom. "I understand your hesitation. But I promise, I am here for one purpose, to prevent your extinction." Trent's eyes narrowed. "Then start talking. What's the Council's plan?" Varek's face tightened as he spoke. "The Council has developed a weapon, an insidious virus designed to infiltrate neural networks. It targets humans specifically, engineered to break down your cognitive functions, rendering your kind helpless. Once unleashed, it will spread quickly, and Earth will fall without a single shot fired." Marin's expression darkened, the horror of Varek's revelation sinking in. "Why?" "Humanity has honored the peace treaties, kept to the Council's territories." Varek's gaze flicked toward her, the faintest glimmer of sympathy in his alien eyes. "They fear what they cannot predict. Humanity has evolved faster than any species under their watch, and your strength lies in your unpredictability. To them, you are a wild card, a factor they cannot control. The Council's solution is simple: remove the threat before it grows." Trent's fists clenched beneath the table. His voice, however, remained as cold and steady as iron. "And why are you telling us this, Varek? If the Council discovers your betrayal, they won't just exile you, they'll execute you." Varek's shoulders lifted in a slight shrug, his gaze holding Trent's with a fierce determination. "Because I believe your people deserve a chance. I have seen the atrocities the Council has committed in the name of peace. But true peace isn't maintained through fear and destruction. I risked my life because I see a future where humanity stands as an ally, not an enemy." For a brief moment, the three of them sat in silence, the gravity of the words settling over them like an iron weight. Marin broke the silence, her voice softer, almost resigned. "If what you're saying is true, we're already at a disadvantage. How do we fight a weapon that can't be seen or touched?" Varek leaned forward, his expression urgent. "There is one way. The virus relies on a series of relay stations across the Council's territories. If you destroy the primary relay, you'll sever the virus's link to Earth's neural grid. But you must move quickly. They plan to activate it within the week." Trent's mind worked furiously, already mapping the fastest route to the relay stations. His determination was unbreakable, but the stakes had reached a level he had never anticipated. And where exactly is this primary relay station? Varric extended a data chip across the table, his hand steady. Coordinates, security protocols, everything you need is here. But be warned, the station is heavily fortified. You will face resistance the Council reserves for its most valuable assets. Trent took the chip, his grip firm, yet his mind raced through scenarios, each more treacherous than the last. He couldn't afford to let doubt creep in now. We've faced worse odds before, he said, his tone hardening into resolve. We'll find a way. Varric's gaze softened, a fleeting vulnerability breaking through his hardened exterior. Captain, know this. Once you attack, the Council will recognize humanity as a direct threat. They will stop at nothing to annihilate you. Trent's lips curved into a grim smile. If they want a war, they'll get one. But humanity has never been easy to crush. Varric inclined his head, respect evident in his expression. Then I am honored to stand with you in this fight. Marin's eyes met Trent's, a silent exchange of loyalty and purpose passing between them. She took a breath, her voice calm yet resolute. Captain, the crew stands with you. Whatever it takes, we won't let Earth fall. Trent rose from his seat, the weight of leadership heavy yet welcome. Then let's get to work. We'll leave at dawn. As they exited the war room, Varric following in silence, Trent felt a surge of determination, tempered by the looming threat. This battle wasn't just for survival. It was for the future of humanity, a fight to prove their worth against the galaxy's fear and mistrust. And so, as the ship's engines roared to life, the Horizon embarked on its most critical mission yet, the darkness of space stretching endlessly ahead, waiting to test the strength of humanity's resolve. Chapter 3: The Last Stand. The hum of the Horizon's engines filled the silence, a constant reminder of the distance they'd traveled and the dangers still ahead. Captain Trent stood at the ship's helm, his gaze fixed on the dark stretch of space where the Council's primary relay station lay hidden. Every instinct he possessed warned him this mission was a one-way journey, but if they didn't succeed, humanity's days were numbered. Captain! Lieutenant Marin Blackwood's voice cut through his thoughts. She stepped up beside him, her expression as steadfast as ever, though her eyes held a glint of worry. We're within sensor range of the station. Readings are consistent with Varric's intel. Heavy defenses, multiple entry points, and we're detecting life signs. They're prepared for us. Trent's jaw tightened, but his voice remained steady. Good. Let them think they're ready. They have no idea what's coming. His gaze shifted to the alien warrior standing nearby, Varric, who had donned an armor that shimmered in the dim light of the bridge. Varric's face was resolute, though a flicker of something unspoken lingered in his eyes. Are you certain you want to go through with this, Varric? Trent asked, his voice low but firm. You've already risked everything just getting us here. Varric inclined his head slightly, his tone solemn. I knew the consequences the moment I chose this path, Captain. To stand by and watch your people destroyed, that would be the true betrayal. A moment of silence passed between them, unspoken respect bridging the gap between species. Marin cleared her throat, breaking the quiet. All systems are prepped. Weapons, shields, and our comm protocols are ready. If we're going to hit them, now's our chance. Trent nodded, adrenaline sharpening his focus. Let's go over the plan one last time. We hit them hard, fast, and we don't give them a chance to recover. Marin, you're on point with the strike team. Varric, I need you guiding us through their defenses. This station's their prized possession. Whatever they throw at us, we match it twice over. Marin's gaze hardened, her stance braced. Understood, Captain? We'll make sure they don't get a chance to react. As the crew prepared for the assault, the Horizon powered toward the station, slipping through the shadows of the outer system. The structure loomed ahead, a fortress of dark metal and intricate machinery, pulsing with the power of the Council's weapon. The sight of it sent a shiver down Trent's spine, the cold finality of their mission settling over him. Seconds later, the Horizon lurched, the ship shuddering under an unexpected impact. Lights dimmed as alarms blared, a blinding flash from the station's turret lighting up the darkness. "They've spotted us," Marin announced, her voice calm but edged with urgency. "Evasive maneuvers initiated, but their targeting system is sophisticated. We won't dodge them for long. Return fire, all batteries," Trent ordered, his voice commanding, steady. "Keep them focused on us. Varek, lead Marin's team through the side entrance as planned. Disable the relay at all costs." The ship's cannons unleashed a salvo, bright streaks of energy colliding with the station's shields, rattling its defenses. Amid the chaos, Marin and her strike team hurried to the docking bay, Varek guiding them with rapid precision. Every second counted, each step a move in a deadly dance of survival. Inside the station, Varek led Marin's team down a series of narrow, dimly lit corridors. The air was thick, heavy with an artificial chill, a subtle hum pulsing through the walls as though the station itself were alive. They moved with purpose, weapons raised, each breath shallow as they edged toward the relay's core. A squad of council guards appeared ahead, their armor sleek and unmarked, moving with eerie coordination. Marin signaled her team, her voice low and fierce. "Ambush formation. We'll hit them on 3. Before the guards could react, Marin's team unleashed a calculated assault, blaster fire illuminating the corridor in a sudden, blinding burst. The council soldiers dropped, their precision no match for Marin's relentless strategy. She nodded at Varek, who quickly accessed the station's systems, his fingers dancing over the control panel. "They're reinforcing their defenses," he muttered, a flash of frustration crossing his face. "We need to hurry." Marin checked her weapon, her voice tight. "Just get us to that relay. We'll handle the rest." Meanwhile, back on the horizon, Trent maneuvered the ship with skill, narrowly dodging another salvo from the station's turret. The hull vibrated with each impact, the ship creaking as if protesting the relentless assault. A warning light flashed on his console, signaling a critical shield depletion. "Come on," he muttered, his grip tightening on the controls. "Just a little longer." Inside the station, Varek and Marin finally reached the relay chamber, a sprawling room filled with complex circuitry and the core of the Council's viral weapon. Varek turned to Marin, his expression grave. "Once I initiate the shutdown, the station's failsafes will activate. You'll have only seconds to escape." Marin's jaw clenched, a hint of fear flashing across her face before she steadied herself. "We've come too far to back down now." Varek placed his hand on the relay controls, a determined gleam in his eyes. "For humanity, then?" As he activated the shutdown sequence, alarms blared throughout the station, red lights flashing. Marin's team retreated, racing through the station's maze-like corridors, each second more frantic than the last. Back on the bridge, Trent watched as the relay station's power levels began to plummet. A grin spread across his face. "Mission accomplished," he whispered, a fierce pride swelling within him. But as the horizon pulled away, a new alarm sounded, indicating a fleet of Council warships arriving on the edge of the system, poised to intercept. Trent's heart pounded, his voice cutting through the calm. "All hands prepare for battle. We're not out of this yet." The final confrontation loomed, a clash that would test humanity's resilience and their right to exist in the Council's shadowed dominion. Captain Elias Trent stood tall on the horizon's bridge, his gaze unwavering as the Council's warships emerged, dark behemoths lined with weapons primed for destruction. The metallic sheen of their hulls caught the distant starlight, each vessel a brutal reminder of the galaxy's disdain for humanity. Every fiber of his being screamed that this was their last stand, yet Trent's resolve hardened, his purpose crystallized. "Captain!" Marin's voice crackled through the calm, sharp but calm. She had returned to the ship with the strike team, her eyes fierce and unyielding as she met his across the bridge. "All personnel are accounted for. Varek, he didn't make it out." Trent felt a pang in his chest, the weight of sacrifice settling upon him. Varek had risked everything, defied his own kind, and laid down his life so humanity might have a future. Trent's voice softened, a rare glimpse of emotion breaking through. "He was one of us in the end. We won't let his death be in vain." As he turned back to the main display, the Council fleet moved into an attack formation, each vessel a lethal specter against the endless night. Marin's hands hovered over the tactical controls, her fingers steady, awaiting Trent's command. "Weapons hot," Trent ordered, his tone steel-sharp. "Prepare to engage. Let's show them what it means to cross us." The first volley came from the Council's flagship, a barrage of plasma bolts streaking toward the horizon. Trent's hands moved instinctively on the controls, angling the ship away just in time. The bridge shuddered as stray shots glanced off their shields, sending a ripple of energy across the panels. "Shields at 70%, Marin reported, her voice unwavering despite the rising intensity. She met his gaze, her eyes a steady anchor amidst the chaos. "We can't take many hits like that, Captain." "Then we won't," Trent replied, his voice low and determined. "Focus all power on the forward cannons. If we're going down, we're taking their flagship with us." He keyed into the ship-wide comm, his voice ringing through every corridor, filling each crew member with a defiant strength. "All hands, this is it. They've written us off, decided we're nothing but a nuisance. But we're here to show them they underestimated us. Today, we fight for humanity." A cheer erupted from the crew, their spirits ignited, their loyalty solidified. Trent returned his focus to the battle, his gaze hard as he watched the Council fleet move with precision, weaving a tightening net around them. He sensed their tactics, saw their maneuvers coming just a split second before they happened, each decision he made pushing the horizon to its limits. A second barrage blazed toward them, yet this time Trent didn't evade. He pushed the horizon forward, charging headlong into the fray. "Fire the cannons!" he barked. The ship's forward cannons lit up, unleashing a torrent of energy that tore through the Council flagship's shields, punching into its hull with explosive force. The enemy ship buckled under the onslaught, sections of its frame bursting into flames as it drifted, crippled, in the void. "Direct hit," Marin confirmed, a fierce grin breaking across her face. "But they're regrouping, Captain. Looks like they're doubling down." As if on cue, the remaining Council ships closed in, a ring of deadly intent. Trent's mind raced, calculating, strategizing, looking for a weakness. "Divert all auxiliary power to shields. If they're closing the gap, we'll make it cost them." The Council ships surged forward, plasma fire lancing toward them from every angle. The bridge rocked violently as the horizon absorbed the barrage, lights flickering, alarms blaring. Trent held his ground, his resolve as solid as the ship beneath him. Suddenly, Marin's console beeped, drawing her attention. Her eyes widened. "Captain, the Council's fleet has opened a channel." Trent's brows knitted. On screen, the image of a Council admiral flickered to life before them, his expression steely, gaze cold and calculating. "Captain Trent," he began, his voice as sharp as a blade. "You've demonstrated impressive resilience, but this is your last warning. Stand down, or you and your people will be eradicated." Trent met the Admiral's glare, his voice unwavering. "You can take your warning and keep it. Humanity doesn't bow to threats. We've survived on the edge, and we'll keep fighting, no matter the cost." The Admiral's eyes narrowed, and for a split second, Trent saw a flicker of respect. "Then your fate is sealed," the Admiral replied before the screen cut off. "Battle stations!" Trent shouted, his voice reverberating with finality. The Council fleet closed in, their weapons charging, but Trent was ready. He angled the horizon directly toward the nearest ship, unleashing every remaining ounce of firepower. Plasma bolts and laser blasts filled the void, lighting up the darkness in a symphony of destruction. The bridge shuddered violently, sparks flying as systems overloaded, consoles flickering out one by one. Marin clung to her station, her face resolute. "Shields at critical levels, 18% and dropping." Trent's voice dropped to a murmur, a fierce gleam in his eyes. "Let them come." In one final push, the horizon plowed through the line of Council ships, their battered hull tearing into enemy ranks. The Council ships staggered, some breaking formation, others detonating in a blaze of fire and metal. But just as quickly silence settled, the Council fleet regrouping, their numbers overwhelming. Trent looked around the bridge, at the faces of those who had stood by him, and gave a nod, his final command whispered through clenched teeth. "We've made our stand. For Earth." As the enemy fleet closed in, one last transmission echoed across space, the horizon's final defiant roar, a message carried by the stars, a symbol of humanity's will to survive, unbroken, even in defeat.